Jamaica. All right, so we call the meeting to order at 6:37. And, no, what?
Oh, sorry, no,
Oh,
I got ahead of myself.
oh, no, it's okay. So, should we, do we have a call to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
All right, seconded. We're adopting the agenda. And let's review the minutes briefly.
There are actually one page this time.
Hot dog, look at you. Being all concise and whatnot,
Yeah.
economical,
Big favorite.
even. Yes, that's something around, that was it. Okay. Oh, yes, and I guess Chad will talk about that. God bless you. The banners, the Gatekeepers Collective banners on 125th Street, we talked about those. And so should we? So, again, we'll let Chad take that up. Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Minutes.
I mean, the minutes, thank you, Papa.
So moved.
And seconded. All right. Mr. Franklin. Is there anything you might like to share with us about upcoming events or initiatives of your organization?
Absolutely. The Gatekeepers Collective is in partnership with Goddard Riverside Community Center in preparing to present at the Office of Mental Health convening. I believe that's in September. We are looking to present on LGBTQ youth. I think as it relates to young men of color and mental health. I think we're also looking to, as a part of this presentation, we're looking to raise some advocacy as it relates to things that should be carried out in the schools, maybe after schools in the community. Not completely sure. I've got to get back in there and finish my part of the RFP. My part of the proposal. And so that's one thing. And the Gatekeepers Collective is also about to rear its wonderful unveiling of its its flags for Harlem Renaissance 2.0. And so this rendition will include the likes of James Baldwin, I believe it is actually Audre Lorde, Lorraine Hansberry, and others. And so
Barbara Jordan.
Yes.
And who's the other brother? There's one more, but yes, that's exciting.
Yes, that's exciting. We're looking to really involve the community as we did with our first launch, and to even involve more of the community and to make this a part of, I guess as they say, life learners, right? And so that if the flags are not only up there, but that we've found a way to really sort of incorporate them in some of the educational sightings in Harlem. And so whether that's getting with Uncle Richard and staging some walks, or if it's some lectures that are going on at the university, we are in the process of really sort of trying to lay that out so that the community can really embrace and understand. We do know, because we've heard from various communities outside of Harlem, how amazing it is when they experience um, these banners, and so we want to take it to the next level. And we're also in the process of two sort of organizing two events for the month of June. Our resiliency enhancement, or red dialogues or discussions, and this one will. I don't remember quite the title of it, but we're embracing and collaborating and co-facilitating with our trans brothers, and so we're really looking forward to that. And then we're also thinking in terms of some type of Juneteenth Pride um, gathering, sort of like Friendsgiving, where we will have some type of potluck and desserts. Potluck, not in the sense that people have to bring um, dishes to pass, but that there will be dishes to partake of. And so, thank you all for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing. And the other banner will be Bayard Rustin.
Yeah, all of my favorites. I can't believe I forgot that.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So, yeah, how might we leverage the community board's resources around the banners initiative?
Yeah, so I guess a couple quick questions. So how long are the banners up for?
The banners, we've been fortunate. They are up until we indefinitely until we raise the new banners. And so there are banners that are up now. And so they'll probably be up. I think we're contracted for maybe what 4 months,
6 months.
6 months. Yeah, but we usually experience some type of grace, and they remain until the new unveiling.
And we apply, so we apply for permits to renew, renewal permits, that is, and to extend. And here comes Ms. Neely. Okay, yes.
And I guess the other question is, do you want to concentrate the programming at the beginning? Or is it better for it to be dispersed?
The concentrated programming help.
Like the educational programming you were talking about, with respect to banners. Like, you want to have them concentrated around the unveiling, or do you rather like have them spaced kind of evenly out over
That's a great
the 6+
question.
months?
We've
I missed the question. I'm sorry. Please repeat, Dr. Green.
Oh,
Or whomever.
So Clayton asks if we want to concentrate the educational programming around the banners at the unveiling or space it out.
Yes.
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 Both, yes, both and. Actually, we've talked about spacing it out. Typically, for the first 3 iterations of banners that we've done, we concentrated the educational programming at the unveiling. But again, we talked about, during tours of the banners and such like. But we haven't done that. And how might, to your mind, the educational programming be spaced out? If you have any thoughts along those lines.
I would think that having some type of unveiling would be good, but then if there's a smaller event every couple months, that might also be nice, so that. Because other people probably won't know about them until they come up, and then might notice something different. If you could, put something on the poles, like on, stick a flyer on the poles that they're on that says like, oh, hey, notice something different from an event. That could be.
Did you hear?
I heard a flyer on a pole.
I'm gonna move this. Say it again, we were muted.
Oh, we're muted, okay. I was saying it might be good to continue to do programming gradually after they're failed, in part because people will see the banners and won't have recognized, we'll notice a change, but won't have previously known to expect a change. And you capture those people by maybe firing at the banner or something. I think it's also something we should bring up in public session at the community board when it's happening, so that it doesn't pass the larger board by.
Yes, I like those ideas. One of the things that we've been toying with is usually there's a bio that's read for each of the individuals on the banners, and we do that as a team, as an executive board. We're thinking maybe this year if we could, find experts or specialists or someone, with affinity that may have written, about James Baldwin, and really open that up to the community to come and share a little bit. I think the launch itself is an opportunity, it's sort of the genesis of an opportunity, right? It doesn't stop there, but that's really an opportunity, our initial one, to really engage the borough president, right? Maybe someone from the city council. We've had, and Dr. Green can tell you, to the extent that we've had various people come. And so it's really an opportunity to leverage that, to get some media out there to help the continued education sort of flow, and so, we want to strengthen a few birds with one vitamin.
Absolutely. Yeah, among politicos who have attended the previous unveilings have included then Borough President Gail Brewer, City Councilman and now Borough President Mark Levine, Assemblyman Al Taylor, State Senator Cordell Clear, and people from then Governor, the governor's office, gave us a couple of citations. So the idea of periodic educational initiatives around the banners is a great one.
I don't know how much goes on. I feel like for Langston Hughes, I don't know that we reached out to the Langston Hughes house, right?
We did.
Right. And so, but this may be an opportunity with James Baldwin. I think there may be a school in Harlem that's named after James Baldwin, right? So there other opportunities, particularly for people who lived here, for us to sort of really engage the community, and that's really what it's about. But I think maybe we may need to develop a committee to really commit to laying this out nicely.
Yeah, I'm writing right now. We need to reach out to the Baldwin, Ruston, and Lord estates.
Yes.
Not to mention, Barbara Jordan and Lorraine Hansberry's, to see if we can't have representatives.
Absolutely. And so that's the level that we want to continue to think on. I'm not sure when the what is it? The
Unveiling?
No. What's the museum that's here? Our museum on 125th Street that they've been
Oh, the Studio Museum.
Yeah, the Studio Museum of Harlem. I think also the Schomburg. I feel like we need to engage all the things that are right here, as well as the Apollo Theater, to be a part of this. And so maybe Uncle Richard can help us with some of that stuff.
Okay. That sounds great. And raising it during public session, and we'll figure out what other ways we can leverage support from the community board.
Yeah.
Okay, great ideas. Ms. Neely, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry for being late and my camera, I'm having some issues here.
It's all right. You've got a beautiful, beautiful flag there.
Yeah,
And
the logo's there, but I can't seem to get the camera actually on. That's
well,
the photo.
thankfully, your voice is dulcet toned, so we're pleased
Thank
with
you.
to have you with us in any case.
Thank you. I would like to, if possible, I'm sure I'm not on the agenda, but just talk about what's coming up for Harlem Pride.
You are on the agenda as part of the public session,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
the perfect opportunity to share with us what's happening with Harlem Pride.
Well, thank you. So we're in our 15th anniversary year.
Well,
It's like, wow, 15 years already. And with the exception of 2020 and 2021, where we had virtual in 2020 and hybrid in 2021, but to have been outside all these years. But we kick it off on Sunday, June 2nd with our Legacy of Pride Awards. And that's each year where we honor community members and allies who carry on traditions of political activism, advocacy, community building, that sort of thing, and who engender respect for ourselves and others, thus creating a legacy of pride. And this wording was penned by none other than former board member John Martin Green, Dr. Green. And so we hang on to that because it really embodies the spirit of the awards.
that's so funny, because when I read it, I said, oh, that's really smart language. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's been what, almost 10 years, right?
Yeah, well, it's funny, because, yeah, right, I knew you when you were nothing but a child.
Yeah. But I mean, when
We-
you were on the board and you wrote this, I think it's been about 10 years, right?
Yeah. In fact, yes, because I left the board when I went back to do my doctoral program,
Mm-hmm.
which was just over a decade ago. So, yeah, I was a little older than you.
Oh, just a smidge, just a
And I
smidge.
did.
But this year's honorees are Mr. Shorter from Ryan Health, Miss Barrett from Ryan Health, Earl Folks from Center for Black Equity, Miss Hidalgo from New York Presbyterian, Lady Irene Gandy, Broadway producer, and former Assembly person Keith Wright. Those are honorees this year in terms of what they did to help us get started. Each one of them was instrumental in some way in helping us get started in those very early years. So we are honoring them on this 15th anniversary. Then our next event is a youth game and karaoke night on June 7th, followed by a transgender, gender nonconforming, non-binary appreciation reception. We have revived that event. We didn't have it last year. We're having it this year. And then we have a health and wellness chat and chew, followed by the culminating event on Saturday, June 29th on 12th Avenue over here for our 15th anniversary celebration. And all of that information is available at harlempride.org. And then one thing I also want to bring attention to is this is our third year for the Juneteenth March. It's a 5K run, walk, roll in Central Park. And it's always going to be on Juneteenth. So whatever day June 19th falls on. So this year it's on a Wednesday. And we hope people will come out. And I'll just put in the chat here the website information for both of those. This year, our 5K is a little bit more special in that Opal Lee, who is considered to be the grandmother of the Juneteenth national holiday, is doing something nationally with New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. And we're part of that team for the New York side of it, where I believe it's NBC is covering all 3 Juneteenth events in the different cities. And they hit us first, go to LA, and then run back to Chicago unless it changes. JFK is mainly handling those details, but we're looking forward to that. And if anybody would like to volunteer or attend the Legacy of Pride Awards, tickets are available. Volunteer spots are still available for some areas. Some are full, but the information is here to the links, and pretty much all the details are on the website. But if you have any questions, feel free to email me directly, and I'll put my email in the chat as well.
These calls.
That's
Go
my,
ahead.
I was gonna say, so that's my report. For our 15th anniversary, we're still looking forward to the opening of Harlem Center. Just as you all know, it's been a roller coaster. Things are up and down, and we're just really we're waiting on some things to come back from the city and the state. So until we really know what those items are, a lease and all of that sort of thing, we're still just moving forward, but we don't know at this point when we'll actually open. We're still holding on to November because we don't know anything differently, but we'll see. It's still moving forward though. That is the Harlem SGL-LBGTQ Center, of which Dr. Green is also a part. And I'm just putting the website in here. So that's pretty much it. That's what's going on with Harlem Pride, Harlem Center.
An exciting array of activities and events.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Sorry, what was the space detailed at the end? Was that? Well, yeah, you were talking at the end about like a space acquisition.
Harlem Center.
Harlem Center.
Harlem SGL-LBGTQ Center is a community center that a group of us are working with developer Ed Poteet and his Carthage Realty to bring to Central Harlem, which is in CB10, in the new Marcus Garvey Village that Carthage is building there on 124th between Powell and Douglas. And the scheduled opening, Carmen was saying, of the temporary space that we're opening is in November. Yeah, scheduled for November. Is that correct, Carmen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep, scheduled for November.
Yes, she is. Great. Yeah. Well, congratulations on the 15th anniversary.
Thank you.
That's a milestone.
Yeah.
To be celebrated.
Thank you.
And congratulations to us on having, because we talked about aligning with Opal Lee for our Juneteenth run, walk, roll event in Central Park. So we got it.
Yep, indeed.
Wonderful. Okay.
JFK really did, I believe he met her at a conference and was able to take it from there.
Yeah, he's a schmooze cadet of the first order. JFK is one of our colleagues, James Felton Keith.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wait, is he the airport? You're collaborating with the airport?
Well, the JFK was John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so Yeah, and so JFK, yeah, right, yeah, yes. Okay, and JFK Jr. died, and it'd be 20 years ago next year,
Oh,
yeah, in a plane crash. All right, these are great, public session, heads ups, so thank you both. Next on our agenda is, Assembly of the LGBTQ, survey. Harlem residents, West Harlem residents survey that we're, compiling. Around which, hopefully you guys might be able to, suggest some questions. Where did we leave off, Clayton?
you recently sent out, an email with some mock-up language and ideas of how we might structure it that I thought was pretty, seemed like a very good start, a good template to build up.
Okay, do you have that?
Yeah, I have it right here. What would be the easiest?
Well, since, oh,
I can join the call and share screen.
could we share, yeah,
Oh, but normally, can you give me the power to share screen from there?
I reckon I can.
Okay, let's
Uh-huh.
try this.
Oh, no, let's see. Oh,
Nothing.
well, so, right, cause,
You're the host though, right?
yeah. But we don't have you. Oh, well, can you join the call?
I'm joining now.
Oh, okay. Cause if you join the call, we can indeed do that.
Looks like I can't share screen right now,
Oh, okay.
but maybe
Well,
if
no,
you,
have you joined the call?
yeah,
Oh, okay, well, let me see. Ah, there you are.
there it goes.
And there you are.
There we go.
I guess I could have done it. Well, no, I don't think. Cause I would have had to go into my email and get what I sent you.
Yeah, let's see. Right. Good, looks like I'm sharing the right, correct.
Okay,
Right, yeah, so John Martin sent out an email about the types of things you'd want to ask with an emphasis on keeping it fairly efficient, having an economic survey and then.
can you guys hear Clayton?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Of having both questions that are demographic, asking about age brackets, how you identify where you live, and then some broader questions, relating to like what types of services are you looking for, or what are things that are lacking that others in the community may have. So John Martin sent out this version. I expressed that I was very happy with it, and was also wondering if we might want to do some types of like in-between questions that might be of the form like, to what extent do you agree with this statement? I feel secure in my community, or something with that sort, along with questions that perhaps would ask about what specific resources they know of or have made use of. So we can ask like, are you familiar with Harlem Pride or the Gatekeepers Collective or things of that sort, both as a way of quietly advertising and also as a way of like gauging which types of age brackets or communities are being reached by each group. So yeah, I don't know if John Martin had a response, or if either Chad or Carmen have thought as well, but this was where we were after discussing last time.
I think your ideas are good ones. And in listening to you, something else occurred to me. Or another it's not a different question, perhaps a different framing of a question. So we've asked, what needs, are particular to our community that are absent in West Harlem, what services, likewise, what experiences. Another framing of that question might be, what services, activities, or experiences or resources are you aware of in other communities that are absent here?
Yeah.
You know, that are particular to our community that are absent here. How does that strike you, guys?
I think that makes sense because, you know, some people do hear like, oh, such and such is available, you know, somewhere else in Washington Heights or wherever else it may be, and it may be something good for us to have.
I concur. In fact, I think there was like one bar in all of West Harlem. If that bar is still even open, the bar on 109th in Amsterdam, you guys familiar with it? It used to be the Angel or something.
Oh, yeah, that's CB7 though, right?
109th in Amsterdam. Oh,
CB9
right, that's, in fact, that's just below our dividing line. So no, that's not even West Harlem, because we're 110. Is the southernmost part. So we don't have any clubs in West Harlem, do we?
I don't think so.
Yeah, me either. And you would know, Carmen, social butterfly that you are.
Wait, you said we don't have any clubs in West Harlem?
No,
I didn't know
not to my
LGBTQ
knowledge.
club.
We have one. What's the club right around the corner from the Apollo?
That's Community Board 10.
You talking about Lambda Lounge?
Not Lambda. There's another one that's
Or West?
Alibi,
maybe I
Fort
don't,
West.
yeah, I don't know.
Because really it's basically Alibi,
Fort
Lambda
West.
Lounge, and Fort West. Then you have
London.
Billy's Black, but it's not a
Right.
club.
And it also is in Central Harlem. So there are no clubs in West Harlem to speak of.
Right.
Okay.
I guess
Um,
also one thing that is probably worth us thinking about as we craft this is to what extent are we asking people what services are missing from your life versus what services are missing from West Harlem? Because I think, you know, if I'm on 125th, I can go to Lambda Lounge and I can go to the bar we talked about in 109th. You know, it's not strictly missing from my life, but you know, people filling out the survey might not know what CB9 is, and maybe it doesn't, you know, matter for them if they go to CB10 for something. But given our position as a representative of CB9, you know, perhaps we want to have more of that district-oriented training rather than like personal life training.
Okay, so then, around quality of life, the question about, what needs or services are particular to our community that are absent in West Harlem, should we make it more specific, rather than to our community, particular to you?
I would think so.
Okay,
You know, as long as we collect course data on what part of the neighborhood they're in, you know, like Hamilton Heights, Morningside, Manhattanville, or something like that, and then we have information about what they have, you know, then we could say that people in Hamilton Heights don't appear to be experiencing this or benefiting from this.
okay. So what services do you look forward to that are, well, but how do we, I mean, again, this is about same gender loving LGBTQ folk. So is that taken for granted? Well, how do we frame the question? You look forward to.
You and your neighbors or something.
Ah,
Maybe just, I think the main important thing is not making. The community board training is useful for us, but it might not be useful for them, but there are probably ways of. That gap.
okay. Safety. There's a question about, and I didn't know how to frame this, so perhaps you guys can chime in. Are there privileges? And this is kind of convoluted, so pardon me. Are there privileges cisgender heterosexual community members take for granted in community spaces that are not available to you? Is that a valid question? Or that you feel are not available to you?
Not really. I mean, I can't think of anything. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
offhand, it doesn't come to like what can they access that I can't.
right.
I mean, but if you put it in entertainment venues, maybe, but that's up to entrepreneurs, I suppose, to if they want to, establish such a venue. But otherwise, I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. Not that there isn't or aren't anything that could possibly answer the question.
Okay. Chad,
Yeah.
can you think of anything? Does anything come to mind with respect to either experiences or activities that our cis hetero family may take for granted that are privileges we don't enjoy that are less available to us?
No, the only thing that comes to mind for me is off the top of my head are just places for congregating, like spiritually.
Hmm.
Like you could get in there and mix and mingle, but like, you have to chew the meat and spit out the bones sometimes. Yeah, which is big. So let me hear how you phrase the question, because I know that there are places that we may be able to access that are not necessarily reaffirming, but maybe that's not the job of a place to be, is reaffirming. So how did you all phrase the question?
Awkwardly. Do you have a?
Yeah, are there privileges cisgender heterosexual community members take for granted in public community spaces that are not available to you? What are they? I think,
What do you think?
I think it,
See, I have something.
I think my only concern is that I think maybe it's just a verbiage
Yes,
thing, but I think like the way it's framed comes across as very academic. So I think that if you
that's,
are academic, you might write an essay. If
chief
you're
among
not
my
academic, you might not.
writing problems. Yes, so if you can academize it, Dr. Sanford. But what I'm thinking about, actually, and, I guess perhaps it's a pet peeve of mine, but, in fact, generally speaking, and by and large, the only people who do it are teenagers. But I think about PDA. And while I've seen it more in the past 2 or 3 years than ever before, by and large, I still feel as if we don't feel safe, walking about holding hands or let alone, you know, kissing somebody goodnight on the stoop as we part company or whatever. What do you guys think about that? And that, I don't know that that's necessarily something that the task force could do anything about, but if it is an issue, maybe it is something that we could do something about, like having a conversation or something. Do you feel safe holding hands
Yeah, I do.
with a bow?
Mhm.
Okay, but then you are a white man,
I am a white man, yeah.
okay.
And he lives in Hell's Kitchen and we're mostly there, so.
Ah,
different-
yeah, Hell's Kitchen is now the new Chelsea.
Yeah,
Well, I'm talking about in West Harlem.
I do, yeah.
Well, but you live on Columbia campus.
I live on Columbia.
See,
I live on 125th.
which is now
Which
Columbia
is
campus.
Columbia.
Which is now Columbia's Manhattanville campus.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Your
I mean,
colors.
I largely feel safe, you know, I don't. But then I think two women tends to be a little more acceptable than two men. So there's perhaps a certain level of privilege there as well, you know, that sort of thing. But I really haven't felt unsafe since I lived in Harlem with what I call a basic level of PDA, you
Mhm.
know. And then I think it varies by
Block.
each person's comfort level, generally speaking, with PDA. Some people just don't like it. Some people make me want to say, go get a room, because I think they're doing too much publicly. But I feel safe at my level, which would be holding hands, a kiss, a hug, you know, not the tongue down the throat type kiss, but, you know, a goodbye kiss. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that anyway, just me personally. I'm gonna get you upstairs, you know, so
Yeah, yeah.
but I feel comfortable doing that. I mean, maybe even standing in line at a restaurant or to get movie tickets, and you know, you might hug each other, or you know, tired of standing in line, so you might lay your head on her shoulder or something. All that kind of sort of general stuff I feel fine with here in Harlem.
I was good with you until just a moment ago, your last turn. Standing online to get movie tickets you wouldn't be doing in West Harlem.
Well, okay, that's true. But I mean, anything similar like standing in line to get restaurant food or waiting to be seated or any situation where I might be standing in line, you know,
Yes,
or even,
and
you know, like the night market that comes. I've strolled through there hand in hand with, you know, a woman friend of mine
mhm.
and not had an issue, you know, feeding each other food, that kind of thing. I don't think, you know, I do think when it gets a bit more egregious, perhaps, you know, like grinding up on somebody or, you know, just things that I think the average American, if there's even such a thing, will kind of feel like y'all just need to get a room. And I don't know that that's necessarily the sexual orientation as it is the level of affection being displayed. But I do think it's different for men. You know, my male friends don't typically express the same level of comfort. Um, and I think statistically, I haven't looked at the latest statistics, but men are more victims of hate crime, generally speaking, than women. And when we're talking LGB, I'm gonna leave the trans
Yeah,
out because they
because trans women
definitely
are more victims than
right. The trans
yeah,
population definitely gets it way worse than anybody else.
right, right, you are. And I concur with your sense that, PDA among men, and particularly, men of color, that is, you know, African diaspora or African American and Latinx men, PDA among men is more threatening to colored people. What do you think, Chad?
Absolutely. Like there's PDA up here. I'm at 149th and Broadway, right above Harlem Public and the Honeywell and the Gansberg Gallagher something, whatever is the name of my building. And there's a lot of white PDA. I mean PDF. I'm tired, y'all.
Public displays of.
Dissonance.
I'm gonna visit his.
But not a lot of, you know, for particularly Black men. And if it is, rarely do I see it, but it's moving and it's moving fast. It's not what I see outside in front of the restaurants here, going in the stores here. And when I just think about my own block, you know, the gentleman who outside of my building, you know, whom I love and I feel like have grown to love me or to know me, and thus they love me. I feel like they might, you know, be okay with it now if Kelly and I were together and still showing, you know, PDF. But that's after being here for almost 20 years, right? And you know, speaking into their lives, and you know what I mean, just really being a light in the community. But just as far as a stranger,
Okay. Okay. So it might be a valid question. Just want some reframing
Yeah,
in terms of the verbiage.
yeah. I think my thought is that we would want to have some question along those lines. Like maybe what I'm imagining is like a number of check a box type questions that are easy to fill out, that anyone filling out the survey will do without having to think too much. And then like 2, maybe 3 short answer open-ended questions that, you know, the lazy people can skip if they want, but it also leaves space for more thoughtful answers. And I think something like that would probably be appropriate for, you know, if we make it the language a little bit less academic, something about something like that, I think work very well for one of those.
Okay. Terrific. That's most helpful. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And
And as far as when this would happen, would we imagine in the fall?
that's, yes. Well, I think, you know, we should, right, finish working out the questions over the summer and be prepared to launch the survey when we come back in September.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the update on the Audre Lorde Memorial Strategy, we've already actually taken care of, because that's just one of the Harlem Renaissance 2.0 banners that will be unveiled in July, is of Audre Lorde.
Yeah.
Is Audre Lorde. And the last item on the agenda is our community engagement and education calendar.
Yeah, sorry, we're gonna make a room reservation. I think I didn't.
Say it again.
I think we were planning to make a room reservation, and I haven't gone on that yet. Did we set a date for it? No, because we were talking about an event in October, I think. Like,
Okay. We had also talked about the possibility of doing something over the summer, I thought.
I see. So from last month's notes, it looks like we talked about a film screening in July or August.
Yeah,
And then quarterly
okay.
events in the fall. Okay, got it. Sorry, I think I mixed up
That's okay.
things.
Well, the first week of the month is coming up,
Yeah,
so, and that's the time when you can apply for in-kind space in
Yeah.
Columbia facility,
2 months out, right?
a minimum. of 2
Yeah.
months.
Um,
Oh, right, so it would have to be for August time.
yeah,
Okay,
I'm away for most of July, so
okay,
probably beginning of August,
okay.
but. What if we just said, what if we asked for August 27th, be the day of our meeting?
Ah, okay,
Get a plan for that?
yes, Dr. Sanford.
Okay. I can put in a request to them about that.
Yes, Dr. Samford.
Carmen.
Yes.
Clayton just got his doctorate, a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
What was your topic or subject of study?
I was on math and computer science.
Cool.
Yeah, so. Very fun, but also glad to have it over.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right then, any old business? Any new business?
Not for me.
No? All right then. At 7:30,
30.
is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, it's now 7:30. Do you know where your children are? I'm sorry.
Yes,
I didn't say where the kids are. I said where your children
I know my child then.
I moved to adjourn.
I second the motion.
Very well.
And we'd like to thank you for joining us, Mr. Franklin, Ms. Neely.
Thank you for having me.
are. Thank you for having me.
And we are adjourned. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Take care, everybody, and happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Are you coming to the Legacy